Great, thanks. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back from lunch. This is always a tough slot, right? Because everybody's sleepy, but I'll do my best to keep you awake. This was a fun activity, and I want to report on our last year, and it was our second year at the Northeast Astronomy Fest. So the first slide here shows an overview of the field house at Rockland Community College in Suffern, New York, where NEAF has been held for over 20 years. The small orange arrow in the left center points to our booth along the back wall at the very end of the main aisle. So we get a good selection of people coming down the main walkway there through the vendors' booths, and quite a few of them stop by and talk to us. Our goal here has always been to spread the word and try to get more people interested in joining us in occultation activities. NEAF is one of the largest astronomy conventions and vendor display activities in the world, and it always seemed likely that this community of attendees who are extremely hardware rich would be looking for additional reasons and ways to use that equipment effectively, and those who want to make contributions to scientific research find us and seem to be receptive to the message. So for the last 2 years, we've had this group of 6 people that I've listed: Bruce Berger, myself, Al Karsich, Ken Cole, Steve Kennard, and Bruce Holenstein, along with several of our children, joining us to man the booth for a couple of hours at a time on Saturday and Sunday. And we enjoy this, and we encourage all of you who can make it to Rockland County to join us in the fun. Spend a few hours in the booth sharing your excitement about occultations with the folks who attend. So next slide, please. Typically, the event, which lasts 2 full days, has over 4,000 attendees, and it includes all the major astronomy vendors. It was founded by the Rockland Astronomy Club president and Al Nagler of Teleview over 20 years ago. So it has a long history, and this year, for the first time, the folks in charge tried to add a pro-am track to the event. So there were 3 groups there represented on the pro-am track. We were one of them. The other one is a group that involves amateur astronomers in variable star observations. It wasn't AAVSO, it was someone else. And there was a third one that I forget at the moment. But we were asked this year to also offer a class in Introduction to Occultations, which I'll touch on later on. You can see a few of the pictures in here. You can see Bruce Berger and Ken Cole talking to a visitor, and then Steve Kennard in the lower right picture doing the same thing. Next slide, please. So these have been our goals: exposure for IOTA, new members. We're always making information on the IOTA video time inserter available. We want to get feedback from the NEAF attendees on what we're doing, and then of course getting ideas from them and from all of you on ideas for improving our efforts towards outreach. We're also considering expanding to the Arizona Science and Astronomy Expo next year. We were asked by, we asked the folks at NEAF if we could offer a talk in the big auditorium, but their schedule was full. But they did invite us to offer a class on Introduction to Occultations, which we did both Saturday and Sunday. I think if we go to the next slide, we'll get some information about that. Maybe a slide or 2 later. Okay, so we offered, again, Walt Morgan offered a $15 discount for units purchased within a week of NEAF, and he's informed me that he sold 3 this year through this offer. Last year He also got in touch with Olivier Teasy from France, who sells the Shellyak instruments, and he's been selling VTIs in Europe as well. So this is good. We pass out a lot of information on the VTIs, business cards, brochures, color handouts, and so on. Next slide, please. We had a nice sign-up table where we always display Bob Sandy's graze reductions. They're beautiful. And we got 32 people to sign our email list this year. If you go to the next slide, this year I put together a batch geo map of the folks who signed this with their cities and states. And here's a couple of zoom-in maps of the folks who gave us their city and state address and email information. And I'm happy to say that 4 of these folks have been in touch with members in various places. Tony George in Washington, the fellow in Washington, Guy Nason with somebody in Georgetown, Ontario, somebody in Santa Fe has been working with Scotty, and I've been in touch with George Bakinski up in Maine. So we've managed, using various techniques, to get individual members in contact with IOTA members who are close by geographically. And of course, April Russell, who I assume is in the room, is going to speak to us tomorrow as well on her work with asteroid 3D shape models. And she was, I think, our very last visitor of the weekend at NEAF this year. So I'm happy that that happened as well. So next slide, please. The equipment that we demonstrated was brought by volunteers. We left it out on the table. We had some VTIs, Canon ZR recorders, Mighty Minis, Mighty Maxi mounts, a little bit of everything, and did our best to let people put their hands on things, play with it, look through telescopes. No problems were seen. Let's go to the next slide. We handed out quite a bit of literature, including an invitation to visit us and join the Yahoo groups. We feel like that's at least something that many people will do easily. There's not a lot of overhead involved, and hopefully we'll get a lot of new folks on the Yahoo group who begin to listen in, work, and eventually decide to join in on the fun. Next slide. We had the 10-inch travel scope assembled and there for people to see. It always attracts a lot of attention, and it was much fun to have there. Next slide. We always offer visitors an opportunity to use iMovie to analyze an occultation recording, a video recording, sometimes a manufactured one, sometimes a real one or a double star one. So we had that table set up here, and quite a few people took advantage of the opportunity to put that occultation reticle on a star and have it record light curve and then graph that light curve. It's really an interesting and dynamic way to show people what the data actually does and how exciting this is. Next slide, please. So Bruce Berger and I also offered the class. We offered this twice, once on Sunday morning and Saturday afternoon, and once on Sunday morning. We had a total of 29 people attend. We demonstrated equipment. We had a table with gear sitting on it. I went through how to use Occult Watcher, how to use iMovie, did a double star lunar occultation reduction with iMovie, and showed the STEP event live on the screen. It was very well received. Actually, you can see one of our travel suitcase setups there on the lower right as well. One person from Saturday said they enjoyed the class and it was their best memory from NEAF. So we're happy to hear that kind of feedback. We've requested we'll request the opportunity to do the same thing again next year in addition to giving a talk in the main auditorium as well. Okay, next slide. Here's our budget. IOTA donated $300 toward that, which we appreciate. The rest we made up with donations from the members who helped out. Our booth charge ends up being $430 total. We get half price on the booth. We order an extra table, a chair, 3 extra admissions, and $125 to have power, which we need for all of our televisions and equipment to make them run all the entire time. All the other equipment, the storyboards and the banner are reused from last year. So next slide, please. So I sent an email to the 32 people who signed our sign-up list. We got quite a few emails back from them. As I mentioned there, we've got April visiting us and presenting. We got some feedback that we handed out a piece of paper with the list of the 5 major IOTA websites on it, and as a result of that, one of our members, Elizabeth Warner, has offered to put up a consolidated front-end website of some kind. So that offer's on the table. We'd love to have a list of IOTA members by geography, so we can sort of put up a list of our members and show that to the folks who are visiting, while we put up a list of a map of the locations of the visitors, so that the IOTA members can see those as well. It would be good to have a single person responsible for just sort of organizing those connections. But it worked pretty well today by putting up a link to the map on the Yahoo group. Lots of people volunteered and said, well, I live near that guy or gal, so I'll get in touch with them. We have a deadline to apply for next year's NEAF, March 1st. We'd like to, request support from the board again if they think that's appropriate. And we've also been offered a couple of opportunities at the Arizona Science and Astronomy Expo in 2014, which is held in Tucson. We can have a free booth in their nonprofit area, or you can pay $250 to be on the main floor, even if you're a nonprofit. But they've made this other option of having a free booth for all nonprofits in a separate room, which I haven't been there, so I don't know how close that is to the main site or whether we actually get anybody walking through. Probably a reasonable way to start would be to try to go through their nonprofit room and see if we get any visitors. Again, we're looking for anybody in IOTA who is interested in visiting either of these two to help us out. We love to have more people participating and helping out. So I am, let's see, the other thing is that the Rockland Astronomy Club, which sponsors NEAF, has asked for a workshop to be given to at one of their meetings. So basically an IOTA speaker. The member Keith Murdoch, who's in charge of their educational track, attended our class and definitely asked if we would come and basically give that same presentation to the Rockland Astronomy Club at some point during the year. So I may live close enough to do that, and maybe somebody else lives closer, but we've got that going as well. So I'll turn it over to Terry for questions.